So then moving on to our final segment, we are going to be talking about bringing up CJ Abrams to the San Diego Padres. We just talked about this in our last podcast episode. We basically came out and said, hey, we think he's going to come out in the minors. He's going to hopefully fix some of his command issues, heard some promising stuff. He's going to come out, going to look good for a couple starts, and then they should call him up in a couple weeks. Of course, his first start out, he struggles with command, and all the things we were kind of hoping to see did not happen. And it's probably going to take a little while longer for him. But getting into CJ Abrams, I'll let you start, Isaac, because I know this has been your dude. You wanted to see him come up in the initial 26-man roster. When do you think he should be brought up?
Yeah, CJ Abrams is my guy. I definitely think, in terms of these whole new prospect rankings, we did make a prospect rankings video, but I personally think Abrams is my number one prospect just because we can only go based off what we've seen so far and what we've, ever since this whole pandemic stuff happened and the alternate training site. And Abrams has impressed much more than Mackenzie Gore has. Gore has, struggled with command issues. He's probably going to be the better prospect in the long term just because he does have a bunch of upside. But he just had a really bad, I wouldn't say really bad, but a tough outing in AAA, whereas CJ Abrams has made each level that he's played in so far look easy. And even in spring training where, he's starting to face some better competition, after only playing rookie ball, he batted like 250, I want to say, maybe even higher than that. And that's still very impressive for a kid, who's like 19, 20 years old. With the speed he has, the arm that he has thrown across the diamond, and I don't know if there's really even a spot for him right now, but if this offense is still a little stagnant and this offense needs a spark, or this team needs a spark in general, I think he's that spark that could ignite the offense, ignite the team. And I'd say realistically, we might not see him this year, only because like we've seen like with the Rays with Wander Franco, they haven't brought him up, and he's been considered the top prospect in baseball for a little while now. And we thought maybe they'd bring him up for the World Series, but that didn't happen. So that just makes me think that maybe it'll take longer for Abrams, especially with the talent that we have on our team right now. But again, if by the All-Star break, this offense isn't what we think it is, Abrams could be that kid.
I'm with Isaac. If the offense doesn't get it into shape by All-Star, sometimes bringing up that young promising prospect that's on a high streak and he does something in a game, it just kicks the team into another gear. But before he gets called up, I do want to see some more opportunities from Kim, maybe in the outfield or more just in the infield. I just want to see him get more at bats before, hey, we really need to get something into this offense. And, Kim or the other three guys that we have aren't doing it. Maybe it's time to start looking at our young farm system and seeing what CJ Abrams can do. And if he comes out and starts killing it, we could see something like how Tatis came in 2019 and, turned the Padres around. Having something like that in a young kid and him leading a club, it's something cool to see. And the players just play extra hard right behind him. So realistically, he's probably not going to get called up until September just because then rosters get expanded again. But if something isn't done about this offense, I think he can be called up soon.
So that's exactly how I feel as well. I wrote down in my notes that it's going to be soon for me, or I think that he should be called up soon if the offense doesn't improve. And I think that's even in a couple of weeks, to be honest. Maybe a month, maybe more like a month or two, actually. I think a couple of weeks might be a little bit premature just because he doesn't have that many at-bats this year yet. But in my opinion, the pitching for the Padres is just way too good to waste. And, you have a couple superstars in Tatis and Manny, and they've been struggling early on. But this pitching is way too good to waste. They currently have the best ERA in the league. And you look at how the Padres hitting has been. As a team, they were 27th in OPS heading into Sunday. And then after their explosion against the Giants, they are 21st. So they moved up 6 spots in one day. And they're still in the bottom third. Like, they were struggling so much. They were 27th in the league. That can't be acceptable for a lineup that's just so stacked like this. Like, if it's not working, you got to find a way to make changes. And I know me and you, Isaac, we were talking about it a lot during the game today. Like, you got to find ways to make changes and fix what's wrong. Because if you don't do that, like, you're wasting this great pitching, and And you got to have these other guys around the Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado when they're not quite there, because they're going to be carrying the offense so much. So I think they really got to figure it out. And I think there's really two spots for him, and it's still definitely tough to squeeze him in. I think left field is one that should absolutely be considered, and I understand he's never played in the outfield. This one would probably take a lot longer, and I don't really know how exactly that would work out, but I thought that they should have kind of like given him some outfield reps. I will say, I think if you're going to talk about anybody just being able to adapt to a position really quickly, CJ Abrams is definitely that guy. I mean, dude is crazy athletic. Like, yeah, he's a phenomenal baseball player. He's also a phenomenal athlete. Like, he's going to be able to figure that out. And I feel like he's a guy that can easily pick it up, like compared to most players. But I definitely think that it's either in left field, which seems a lot less likely, or at second base. And my problem with second base is I really do not want to see them trade Cronenworth. I know that that's been talked about. I just think having a guy like Cronenworth that is just such a fantastic, just fundamental baseball player, really, I mean, fantastic fielder. And that's what makes it hard about having Abrams play at second base, is because Cronenworth has looked like a Gold Glove second baseman this season. And so it's tough for me to that's why I like left field a little bit more, but I really don't want to see them trade Cronenworth. I just think that he's so important, just the consistency of getting on base, the excellent defense, and just like he's just a solid bat always, and he is an everyday MLB player. So I really don't want to see him moved. And also, what is he, Chase? I think you said he was in the second year of a 6-year contract, or 6 years of control. I mean, you can't miss out on that. Like, that's such a, like, you have such a player that's not very expensive for your team, which is getting really pricey, and it's like really pricey for what we've seen in the past, and you just can't move that guy. But that's kind of, it was a lot right there, but that's kind of where I'm at on Abrams. Isaac, anything else you kind of want to add?
No, I mean, he's still really young, so maybe calling him up this year is probably a little premature. But it could definitely happen, especially because he's been dominating at all levels that he's played in so far. He even hit a home run off Bauer, so that's really good to see too. So if not this year, next year is definitely going to be the year that we see CJ Abrams and we see how good of a player he really is.
I just want to add one thing. I really want to see CJ Abrams in the outfield. I like our infield. I think Cronenworth is a Gold Glove second baseman, and he shouldn't be moved. And if you have CJ Abrams in left field with Grisham in center and Myers in right, that's a really solid defense, really fast outfield. They'll cover a lot of ground, possibly 2 Gold Glove caliber outfielders in Abrams and Grish, and just having them run around the outfield. You'll get a lot more outs, a lot less, extra base hits. It'd be fun to watch them make all these crazy plays out in the outfield. And 2, you're probably utilizing his speed the best. He's running around everywhere using that 80 grade speed. It'd be good for the team.
I really want to see that outfield. That would be so sweet. 3 guys that would probably be capable of playing center field, just from a standpoint of how fast they are. Because Myers is probably the slowest of the bunch, and he can move really well. And then Grisham has a Gold Glove in center field. So like even if he's a little bit can't cover quite as much ground, it doesn't really matter, because I mean, we've seen how excellent he is out there. But that's really what I want to see as well, Chase. I think that it's just too good to pass up. And I really hope we start seeing CJ out there playing in the outfield, because that can be like he could be a future left fielder, and he could be an amazing left fielder. He can always come in and play the infield if if it's needed. But I really want to see him up at least. I do want to see him up this year. I think if we don't see him up, that probably is a good sign. Either the Padres made a move for someone to kind of make some like a splash and kind of get the team rolling, or they were able to figure it out on their own. A Tommy Pham started breaking out, or Machado and Tatis started getting going, and then the whole offense like started carrying along with them. So hopefully that's what happens. Then we see CJ in September, and then he's too good to miss out on a playoff roster spot. I think that's what we'd all like to see. But I think that'll do it for this segment, and I think that'll do it for this episode as well.